Former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is bragging about the fact that he's getting ready to rewrite history, that the United States must rewrite history to make sure that Israeli Jews are victims and make sure that they're perfectly portrayed as the innocent victim. Since over the past 3 years, all of the violence and all of the atrocities that are going on, he wants to make sure that Israelis remain the victim in the media, in the narrative. So take a listen to this clip and let's talk about it.
The next generation of young people won't remember October 7th in the same way. That's true in Israel and in America and broadly in the world. And we need to make sure two things. One, it's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza, right? They can't. The history. And it's. I should be a little more precise. There were victims in Gaza, right? It's true. There are civilian casualties in every war that's ever been fought, but the victims were the people of the nation state of Israel. The aggressor was the Iranian regime in the proxy of Hamas, and we need to make sure that the history books reflect that, and that requires each of us every day to talk about it in real time with our children, with our grandchildren, about it in a way that is serious and thoughtful and complete and moral.
That is truly, I think that this is satanic. I think it's satanic. We have to make sure that history books aren't written to talk about the victims of Gaza. And then he corrects himself afterward. That's what he said. He's saying it flat out. We have to make sure the history books are written to make sure that Israeli Jews are victims. This would actually be a perfect time for me to bring up my disclaimer here before my video gets taken down. There you go. Again, this is not to direct hate towards any group of people, but we have a guy who's actively talking about the fact that history books have to be rewritten to skew and rewrite this ridiculous false narrative is basically what's happening. It makes you think, my eyes haven't really woken up to things to this degree until I would say it really was. And I'm Palestinian. I was born in America, but ethnically I'm Palestinian. I would say even it wasn't really until after October 7th where my eyes really opened up to the level of control. And I'm somebody, I was born here, but I'm ethnically Palestinian. I didn't realize this. And afterwards, now I look back and I'm like, I truly don't even know. I look back at some of the things that I read in my history class and I'm like, holy, how much of this was rewritten in a narrative that suited the interests, that suited bigger interests, that wanted to make sure that certain people looked like the victims, certain people looked like the warriors. Basically, everything that I've learned up until now, basically everything I've learned. And now I'm actively relearning everything. And we have psychopaths like this. Of course, he's a staunch evangelical Christian, by the way. So basically, he's head and toe with Zionist. He is a Zionist. All right. Evangelical Christians, strongest supporters of Israel aside from Israeli Jews. So, these are the sort of people that are writing the history books. Just a few days ago, I showed a previous video of the head of anti-Semitism task force at the State Department. He's a rabbi. His name is slipping my mind. And I showed a video of him saying that he wants to go to Indonesia and he wants to make sure that the Indonesian textbooks are rewritten to make sure that they love Israel. Do you guys remember this? It went viral everywhere. And we have a rabbi who has nothing to do with Indonesian culture, the Indonesian people, nothing at all. And out of everything that he can think about when it comes to Indonesia, which it shouldn't even be a topic in his mind, the first thing he thinks about is wanting to control their books, wanting to control what they read, wanting to control their history. Basically, he wants to bastardize their books to make sure it makes him look like the victim. They're obsessed. There is an obsession. And I should be very specific. There's a strong obsession with these powerful, elite, pro-Israel Zionists that is set on making sure things are painted so they look like the victims. I think it's done for a lot of reasons. One, of course, to build up support for the project of Israel in the Middle East, because its existence, people really need to understand this, the existence of Israel depends on global support. Israel is not like any other country. It's a project. It's a project. It's a billionaire project, really. And if the investment into Israel, if the investment in the Israel project drops, the whole thing crumbles. It's like a house of cards. The whole thing falls apart. So there is so much pressure to educate, which is brainwash, the world into holding on to this project. Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart. So that means brainwashing them in what they read, making sure the younger generation is obsessed with Israel, making sure all of our politicians are bought out by Israel. They have to do all of this because it's the only way to ensure the existence of that project. It's the only way. It's the only way. And you have evangelicals that are speedrunning the end times. It really seems like that's all they're obsessed with. These evangelical Christians have warped Christianity as well, and they're so focused on speedrunning the end times to bring Jesus Christ back. And they believe the only way to do that is to make sure all the Jews of the world are back in Israel, and Israel has the entire West Bank, the entire Gaza, and they're portrayed as the victims. And when they do all of that, and all the Arabs are kicked out, then all of a sudden Jesus Christ is going to come back, and they're going to be the innocent victims, and everybody and the end time starts. That's kind of what's fueling Mike Pompeo's desire to make sure that history is rewritten to make Israel look like the victim. It all has to do, there's a huge sense of, there's a huge religious aspect to this that also fuels Israel's support as well, and also fuels their desire to make sure things are written properly about Israel in the way that suits their interests. It's sick. It's sick. So it's on us. It's on you guys. It's on me. It's on everybody else to make sure that all of these billionaires, all of these elites, all of these individuals that have power, that are trying to rewrite the history books, that are trying to skew what actually happened, that are trying to hide the atrocities of Israel, don't get away with it. Because they have a lot of money, and they're already working on it. They're already working on rewriting the history books to make sure that things are skewed. They're already doing it. So it's up to us to make sure we educate the younger generation to not deal with this BS propaganda. So it's crazy. It's really crazy stuff, and it makes you think, where are we headed in the future? If this is already what they're up to and this is what they've been doing, how do you even undo all of this? How do you even undo all of this? There's so much power behind it. They're already thinking about changing history textbooks in Indonesia. Think about every other country. There are pro-Israel organizations in basically every single country on the face of the earth. They're targeting the global south. They're targeting Latin America. Actually, Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL stated right now they're focused on evangelical Christian Latinos in the United States because it's one of the strongest evangelical populations that are growing in the United States. So they're already working with the Latino population that are evangelical to change their Sunday school curriculum to make sure that they love Israel as well. They're actively writing the narrative. They're actively brainwashing the younger generation. And we're just kind of sitting by and watching it all happen. And they're laughing in our face about it. And people are applauding them while they're doing it. So anyways, guys, that's really it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I'd appreciate it if you click the subscribe button if you want to see more of my videos.